YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Guys, today we're going to talk about an article that came out yesterday that it really kind of hit home to me. And I know y'all haven't seen a video from me in quite some time other than the Open Pros Pick'em. And there's reasons for that. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. And I've kind of delayed talking about this because honestly, I just needed a minute. It's been a long year. And it's been a long time coming. But first off, if you haven't subscribed, make sure y'all do that if you don't mind. It really does help. I know I don't post as much as I did before, but it does help that y'all do and that y'all interact with the video. So, but let's talk about an article that a good friend of mine, Jason Sealock, came out with yesterday. It's on wiredtofish.com. You need to go check it out. It is on the headlining article on the page. So you need to go out. It's called The Changing Landscape of Professional Bass Fishing. And Sealock, he's been around the industry for longer than I have. He's been around for a long time. He's worked a bunch of different jobs in the industry and has done it extremely successfully. It's probably a wrong way to say that, but he's been insanely good at his job for a long time. And the one thing that I've always really liked about Sealock is he's always had perspective. He's always understood. He's looked at things from a different mirror or different lens than most other people, and he's able to put it into words better than most. Easily the best article I've read when it comes to professional fishing as a whole, as it is right now, and kind of how it's really changed over the last handful of years. And some of us have experienced it, and some of us have witnessed it and lived it as much as it is just seeing it on the internet, on social media, and things like that. But, you know, there's a lot of really big key points that Jason goes into in this particular article, from the changing landscape of social media and how much he really despises social media, but it's a means to an end to what we do because of the ever-growing sport and just the fact of information overload. We have a lot of tech out there, and I think he does a really good job at breaking that down for everybody and showing everybody like the true, you know, the lens of everything that's going on. But I want to talk a little bit about what he's talking about in this article and really echo more so than what others may say. I mean, the deal is, he is just like anything else. He's agreed that there needs to be some kind of limit on electronics, a limit on tech, but not necessarily like get rid of it altogether. And I completely agree. You know, there's been some videos floating around, and I've been personally told that there's some really big changes from tournament organizations in reference to forward-facing sonar, a limit on electronics, things like that. That's coming. For anybody that's wondering, that's coming. To what degree, it's anybody's best guess. I know I've been told that there's one trail that's going to possibly eliminate it altogether, and there's other trails that's going to do, like, you get to use it for one day and the next day you don't get to use it. I've been told that there's limits on, you know, inches per screen, number of transducers, so on and so forth. Great. There needs to be some kind of limit on literally anything that we do. I mean, he made a really good reference to flipping back in the day. You know, when D. Thomas and those guys brought it from the West Coast to the East Coast, there was this big uproar about length of rods, and they limited the length of the rods. Now, granted, we look at it now, and it really doesn't determine a great flipper based off the length of the rod. You know, during my time, there was a big push on the ban of the Alabama rig, and I've equated that in a lot of videos before, talking about how, you know, there was a ban on A-rigs and why it was what it was, and now we've learned that it is more situationally based. Now, we can say that all we want, but at the same time, when you incorporate forward-facing sonar with an umbrella rig, then it becomes even more of an issue. But we're not crossing that bridge right now. What we're doing is simply talking about the optic of what fishing has become. And one of the big things that he talked about in this particular article wasn't even necessarily the tech. And everybody, that's the big buzzword now is forward-facing sonar, live scope, active target 2, whatever you want to call it. But more so the optic of what professional fishing has been this year. Obviously I was in the middle of some controversy this year, not necessarily on my part, but by turning in Brian New. And I haven't really talked about it since then. There's been some things that's happened since then, and it is what it is. But I got to see social media just erupt and paint me as a bad person for doing what I felt like was right in the situation. And so I've seen both sides of social media personally and felt it personally and been attacked and had really terrible messages sent to me and had people that I thought were friends kind of turn on me. So I understand that aspect of it. And all the amazing things that have happened this year, the big wins, the Angler of the Years, the big cool storylines, the retirement of freaking Mark Zona and Rick Clunn, two of the best to ever do it. I mean, Rick Clunn's done it for an extremely long time. And I honestly, I don't even know how to describe. I mean, most of y'all, we look at it like, 500 plus tournaments, 50 years doing it. Guys, this is one of, and I don't care, there's going to be people who will say this isn't a sport. This is one of the most grueling sports out there, and I feel like the last 5 years it has become even worse. And the fact that Rick Clunn was able to make it 50 years in this sport and go through that many changes. I mean, when he first started, if you look back at when he first started, like the size of boat, size of engine, types of equipment we had, to now, it's complete polar opposites. I mean, truly, you're talking equipment that you could cast maybe 20 yards at most, to now you got equipment that literally can cast 80 yards. You've got depth finders that before, when they actually had depth finders, were flashers or paper graphs, and now we have stuff that can shoot out 200 feet in one direction, or we can look to the side and see every single piece of structure on both sides of us. It's absolutely mind-boggling when you start thinking about the differences. And for him to make it in this career that long and still win and still be competitive is really inspiring, truly. Rick Clunn is easily one of the most inspiring anglers that there ever has been, and maybe, honestly, ever will be, because of the fact that he has fished through the decades and through all the changes and still made it. And nobody else can say that. Truly. Look back on time. I love Kevin Van Dam to death. He's a friend of mine. He still didn't even do it. He did it to a certain level. I mean, when he started fishing to when he quit, he was still winning. He still fished through some times. But, I mean, Rick started in the beginning, and now he's ending in 2024. I mean, that is incredible. Mark Zona. Zona is an incredible, incredible person. He was an incredible commentator, has a great TV show. I look forward to seeing what he ends up doing in his future. When I made the Classic years and years ago, it seems like 25 years ago at this point, Mark was a very big supporter of mine, very nice to me, when not everybody was. But he was. And he was very respectful, and he's still one of those guys that I can call today, and I might not have talked to him in a year. I can call today, and we can pick up right where we left off, and he's super nice and everything. So the fishing industry lost two giants in the last week. It's crazy to think that's where we're at. And Sealock touches on that as well, where we are at as an industry and how things are changing. You've got JT Tompkins that was disqualified last week. You got Trey McKinney winning Rookie of the Year. You've got all the big storylines of the rookies cheating, and I'm saying rookies like all of them. That's what social media made them out to be, is that every single rookie on the rookie class was a cheater, live scoper / information gatherer, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They aren't. And I'm not saying that JT and Trey and I'm not singling out any particular angler that has pushed those boundaries. I mean, obviously, JT got disqualified, so he broke a rule. He failed the polygraph. I don't know if there's much more you can say other than that. That it happened. I'm not saying he cheated or he didn't cheat, but the polygraph was what it was. And I've known JT for a long time, and I hate that he went down that path, but it's what it is. And there's been a lot of other foggy stuff and a lot of rumors getting spread all over the place about other anglers. But I can tell you, I feel bad for a lot of the other rookies that have busted their butts to get where they're at and to work so hard, and for their storylines to be so tainted because of social media and the hate that people have garnered over this time for people who use a technology that's legal, that tournament organizations haven't banned, and to discredit anglers that saying that they aren't any good because they're only good at electronics. Guys, that's just the world we live in right now. Truly. Like, I live this world every day. Like, I am in it every day, fishing tournaments and doing these things. And I've been getting my teeth kicked in. And guess what? It's because I haven't adapted my game solely to adapt to electronics and to, the changing conditions of forward-facing sonar and stuff like that. That's on me. That's not everybody else's fault. I haven't done it. And it's, a lot of times anglers, we like to blame everybody else and blame, well, I didn't do this because of that, and I didn't do this because of this. Take some accountability. Like, the reason I haven't been winning is because I haven't fished good, and I haven't caught them. It's not anybody else's fault. It's not the sonar's fault. It's not because Justin Hammer's the best out there doing it, or JT Tompkins, or Trey McKinney, or Tyler Williams, any of them. It's the fact that I haven't, Andrew Upshaw hasn't adapted well enough and gotten good enough at it to go win everything. That's the fact of it. But all these amazing storylines that have happened through this entire year have just been completely tainted by the negativity that we have seen. Don't get me wrong. I've had my fair share of negative things that I've posted over the time. And I try not to be negative. Most of you know that. I try to be as positive as physically possible and try to find the silver lining or try to find a positive outcome of everything. But I'm also not going to lie about it. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like something's not wrong. Sometimes being on an island, if you feel like that island's the right place to be, regardless of how everybody perceives you or treats you, that's where you need to be, if that's what you feel compelled to be. So sometimes disagreeing with things and saying, hey, I don't stand for this, even when it hurts, is the right thing to do. Professional fishing is changing, guys. It's not where it was, and nor will it probably ever get back to where it was. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing either. The day and age of the $500,000 million first place prize is gone. It is gone. Because what we've done is we've maxed out media power on the fishing industry. Everything's live streamed, everything's on TV, everybody has a YouTube channel, everybody has Snapchat and TikTok and all these other social platforms that they're spreading all this bass fishing stuff. And at the end of the day, you know what? I had an angler not even an angler, I had a random person that found out that I do some TV stuff and I do things on like Let's Fish and stuff. He's like, hey, did you put weights in fish? Do you put weights in fish? And I'm like, no. But that should show you how small the fishing industry actually is, truly. That the only thing an outsider can see is the true controversy of some walleye anglers stuffing weights in some fish, because that went more viral than somebody winning Angler of the Year or winning a tournament or doing the right thing. That somebody cheating and completely getting blasted for it on social media is our thing out there in the general public. Not that Kevin Van Dam was one of the greatest of all times, or Rick Clun's retiring at his after 50 years. No, that's not the headline. The headline is, hey, we got weights and fish. Our professional fishing has peaked, okay? We're going to get the sponsors that we get. We're going to get the media that we get. We're going to get the dollars that we get. And unfortunately speaking, I don't foresee entry fees going back down to a point where they're manageable. With everything that's rising in prices, we're doing this right here. We're rising in prices and we're dropping in payouts. And that's not going to decrease until people step up and stop fishing tournaments. I don't know any other way to put it. Because at the end of the day, the tournament organizations have to make money. And that's just where we're at. And it's sad because I know when I started professional fishing years ago, how awesome it was. And I'm not saying just from the money aspect, but like, I still remember the feeling of like signing up for these tournaments and getting out there for practice and being like shaken because I was so excited and like almost numb to a certain level because I was like, oh my God, like giddy. And getting ready for that first day of a tournament and just being so wired and being so excited. And now, like, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to go to tournaments. Now, my life situation is slightly different than it was then. And that's the one thing about life is it has a tendency to punch you in the throat sometimes. And it did me. And not necessarily in a bad way, but it kind of gave me perspective. Just like Jason Sealock in his article, I've been given perspective over time for different reasons. You know, my perspective is my son's getting older, and I'm starting to realize that time's ticking away. And so I want to be a part of his life. I want to coach his teams. I want to be an involved dad. And so making hard decisions like not going to tournaments is a big deal for me. You know, like I should be at Leech Lake right now, but right now I'm looking out and I see Toledo Bend. And I'm dealing with the heat instead of the great 70-degree weather that they have up there in Minnesota. But I want to coach my son's football team, and I need to shoot TV shows. And I've really been focusing a lot on shooting TV shows. I just got back from Arkansas where it was blistering hot over the weekend and fishing all night and all day trying to get some really good stuff for Let's Fish TV. So perspective changes. Things change. Am I done tournament fishing? No. I haven't quit yet. Am I done for the rest of the year of tournament fishing? Yes, I am. I won't be at Leech, I won't be at Mississippi River, and I won't be at Hartwell. Just not going to happen. And it's for a couple different reasons, Kane being a big part, and the other big part is Let's Fish TV and making sure that I have all my shows shot and everything done. That's some big changes for me. You know, having the FOMO, if you want to call it, the fear of missing out of fishing Leech and the rest of the year. I haven't had a good year. This is actually, I want to say, one of the first times in my career that I haven't cashed a check in a year. Have not. Come close a few times, but have not cashed a check all year long. And now, granted, I'm finishing before the year's actually over, but who's to say I'd even get a check then? I've been on the wrong side of some bad days, and that's just how tournament fishing goes. But one thing that I've learned from tournament fishing over all of these years is that even on your bad years, especially on your bad years, you can learn how to be a better angler and how to adapt your game to be better the next year. And I saw some flaws in my game this year that I'm going to have to change for next year, whether it be tackle organization, how I approach lakes, the gear I need, and everything in between. And there was a lot of little holes, and those little holes can turn into big-time failures if you don't address them immediately all the time. And I had too many holes in my game this year. And taking that accountability was a big, big step. And thank you, Jason Sealock, for writing the article that you did. I think it is totally necessary in this day and age. And there was actually a quote in here from Rick Clunn about the perspective of where he's at right now and kind of where the industry was. And I'll let y'all go through there and find it. I mean, honestly, guys, you really, really, really need to go read this article. It's a long article, but it's totally necessary. If you even give a crap about professional fishing, if you even give a crap about the state of where our industry is, you need to go read this article. There's been a lot of division lately in fishing as a whole, and professional fishing especially. because of the forward-facing sonar drama. And, Jason talks about it in the article, talking about, it's almost like Republicans versus Democrats. And there should never be a side versus a side, when you're talking about how to build up a sport and how to build up and mend the fence of what we're dealing with. We've got YouTubers right now that every single video they post is a negative video just to draw attention and get views. And when they post said videos, what they are doing is trying to continue to stir the pot to push their agenda. And people watch it, and they comment, and they do all these things, engage in it every time. And the fact is, do I think that live scope and forward-facing sonar is the best thing that's ever happened in this industry? Absolutely not. Has it changed how fishing has become? Absolutely. Like, it has completely changed the landscape of tournament fishing. And nobody can disagree with that. Should there be limits? Sure. Should it be banned? No. The moment we start moving backwards as an industry, and that when I say backwards, like banning things, like truly just straight-laced banning something, is a big black eye for our sport. We're just continue to move backwards at that point, because at that point, where do you draw the line? And that's one thing he talked about. Do you eliminate mapping? From a safety aspect, mapping has really changed the game, because now we don't have to worry about running over the top of a hump that's a foot under the water that we didn't even know existed. And I remember, I live in a really cool neighborhood, because a lot of the anglers that were in this neighborhood, some have passed since then, that I grew up with. I mean, these were old school guys, red man guys that fished bass clubs. All they did was fish these bass clubs. Actually, their bass club was the No Name Bass Club. And that was the actual name of it, was No Name Bass Club. And a couple of the members have passed since, but I remember them talking about fishing Amistad and some of these other lakes, and they had no map carts. They didn't have any of these things, and they were talking about running across the lake, and you had to run a certain speed because you were really worried about running on humps, and you really had to watch with your eyes to look for light spots, and you'd have to navigate around these light spots. And the mystery of these lakes was so unique and so different that it just changed the way that we looked at stuff. And now we can look at our map and say, oh, there's 4 humps here, there's some standing timber there, there's all these different things, and which is great. I mean, it makes navigation that much easier. But do we ban that and take away that aspect? Do we ban side imaging? Do we ban down scan? Do we ban forward-facing sonar only and leave 360? Or do we ban everything? I mean, guys, where do we draw the line? And I think that's the biggest thing. Do we say no this, but this is okay? That's not right. Because I remember before LiveScope became a thing, one of the best guys using, or two of the best guys using 360, because I got to say both, because in my opinion, they were both the best that there ever was at it. Brian Thrift and Brandon Polinick using 360. Dude, you couldn't touch those guys when that was the predominant technology. So, do you get rid of forward-facing sonar but leave 360? I don't think so. I think you have to limit it to a certain level. So, having the right answer, I feel sorry for these tournament organizations, because I don't know at this point if they can win, because the industry is so divided at this point. When they make their decision on whatever the decision they make, it's going to be wrong. Literally. Like, it doesn't matter what they say, what they do, it's going to be wrong. Because the thing is it's a no-win situation for tournament organizations right now, because it doesn't matter what they do. There's going to be people that complain. They're going to push back. They're going to get nothing but hate. Sealock said it best. You look at any single post about a successful person in the industry, on social media right now, and there's 25 negative comments about either daddy's money, mama's money, couldn't be there without people buying info, couldn't be there without forward-facing sonar, PlayStation Gamer of the Year. I mean, some of them are extremely creative on their negativity, just how negative they can be. Guys, we got to stop. if truly we want this industry to survive, we got to stop. We got to figure out a way to mend the fence. I don't know how to do it. I really don't. But I think this video is a step in the right direction. I think Jason Sealock's article that he did, his tremendous article that he did, was a step in the right direction. We have to figure out a way to come together as an industry. And so this is a big call out to all the negative posters. Stop. Figure out a way to mend the fence. Get your followers on board to mend the fence. We'll have to. We're not always going to agree. That is okay. It's okay to have a disagreement, but it's another thing to continually bash and push back and be negative all the time. Just stop. Let's go, guys. Let's be better. We got to be better. We got to figure out a way, because not that I ever want my child to be in the fishing industry whatsoever. I don't want him to be a professional fisherman. I don't want him to touch this industry. But I want him to enjoy fishing. I want him to be able to look back and say, man, you know, fishing's pretty cool. Like, it's fun to do. And right now, if you look at our industry as a whole and you dig into it, even scratch the surface, it's bad. Let's make our next viral video or our next viral TikTok or our next viral article be a positive one. I mean, we're the only ones that can control that. Truly. I'm just tired of it, guys. You want to talk about why I'm at the point that I'm at where I'm not wanting to show up to tournaments? It's how negative this industry's become. It's not fun because all it does is it seems like it brings me down every day. I'm just, like, all this negative energy, all this negativity is just nothing but torn me down. I can't stay in that mind frame. I have to figure out ways to be positive and do positive things. That's why I do TV, because I enjoy it. It's more of a mystery. I still get to go out there and figure lakes out, because a lot of times we go shoot on lakes I haven't been to before or hadn't been to in a long time, and just show up and go fishing. We have to figure out a way to be better, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but Sealock kind of pushed me to do it, not because he told me to, but his article kind of inspired me to. So if y'all want to rip me in the comments, go for it. You want me to lie and blow smoke up your butt? It's not going to be me. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be my authentic self and tell you exactly what I think, always. And if this, just to clarify, if this video gets me in trouble with sponsors, I'm sorry I was honest. I'm not trying to put my sponsors in a negative light. I'm not trying to put anybody in a negative light. This is the opinions of me and solely me. Nobody else. So in case anybody's wondering, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, guys, I appreciate it. I really do sincerely thank you for being subscribers to my YouTube channel and being followers of me. And I apologize for not posting enough. I'll really work on trying to be better at that. And I'll see you on the next one. See you guys.